All buildings have external forces that produce stress on the framing structure. When the strength of the external force exceeds the internal strength of the stucco, that stress is relieved through cracking. Common crack patterns include diagonal cracks at the corners of doors and windows. These are structural in nature. Eggshell or spiderweb cracking in the field of the stucco is due to the natural shrinkage of Portland cement during curing. Straight line cracks are caused by settling, expansive soils, and shear panel stresses. Traditional solutions to these unsightly cracking problems include heavy textures such as Spanish lace and machine dash to disguise cracks. Another common solution was the use of an elastomeric coating, which could bridge small cracks but also inhibit the permeability of the wall to breathe or allow water vapor to exit the building. The use of other claddings such as wood, vinyl siding, brick or metal expansion joints that could assist in relieving that stress. The stucco industry took a major leap forward in recent years with the invention of crack reduction systems. These systems utilize a flexible, polymer-modified base coat with an embedded fiberglass mesh to bridge many common cracks that would otherwise be visible in the stucco finish. Plastering contractors are routinely achieving 90% reduction in cracking in the field by using these crack reduction systems. These improvements in performance are especially noticeable in smooth trowel finishes, which typically make cracks more visible than heavier textures. The application of crack prevention systems requires no additional skills of the plastering contractor. Scratch and brown coats are completed over lath as normal and allowed to cure per the building code. The Stucco Manufacturers Association recommends that the brown coat be allowed to develop stresses and cracks for at least 1 week prior to the application of the base coat. The base coat is then applied over the brown coat with a trowel. While still wet, the fiberglass mesh, which comes in rolls that typically cover 450 square feet, is unrolled and troweled into the wet base coat. Additional base coat may be needed to fully bury the mesh and prevent the mesh pattern from telegraphing through the finish coat. The mesh should be lapped 2 inches and within 1 inch of all terminations, penetrations, and corners. The crack reduction system typically adds 1/8 inch to the thickness of the plaster assembly, which should be planned for in advance. So the plastering applicator will commonly shave the brown coat at terminations to leave room for the extra base coat. Base and mesh coat should not be troweled smooth, but be floated with a sponge float. This will provide a good mechanical key for the stucco finish coat. The finish coat can be applied as soon as the next day. In order to ensure proper adhesion to the polymer-modified base coat, some manufacturers may recommend a bonding agent, so be sure to consult manufacturer directions. It is preferable to apply the finish coat within a few days of the base and mesh coat. This helps promote a strong bond between the base coat and finish coat before the base coat has fully cured and densified. Here, with a few words about the crack prevention systems, is Michael Loge, Director of the Technical Services Information Bureau of the Western Walls and Ceiling Contractors Association.
What is your role at TSIB and your experience in the industry?
At TSIB, I'm the technical director, and we get involved in projects from pre-construction, during construction, to post-construction, and we do everything from quality assurance, specification review, to come out and look at problems when they come up.
And when you're asked about reducing cracking in plaster finishes, what options do you suggest?
Well, we start with the framing, making sure they have specified substantial framing. We look at the sheathing, the type of lath, the plaster mixes, and then we look at what's going to go over the brown coat or the base coats. We've found that a crack suppression system really enhances the plaster's ability to minimize cracking and give a good, strong performance.
And what's your experience with those crack suppression systems in the field?
Well, our experience has been twofold. We're seeing them specified to where they're putting them over the brown coat in the original construction, and they really enhance the overall finish. We also see them used when we have problems with cracking from any number of problems. Could be movement, could be some kind of an issue that came up, and they really make a good repair of an existing plaster. That reinforcing base coat mesh adds a matrix of strength to the system that is really the best remedy that we have for cracking plaster.
And how about in residential applications?
Residential, it's an enhancement. The high-end owners really like it, and what we hope to see come into fruition here in the next 6 months to a year is our ASTM standards, which have been picked up in the International Residential Code, are going to include a crack suppression enhancement that will enable us to reduce the amount or eliminate joints on a high-end residential when you put that crack enhancing base coat and mesh, and that's certainly going to make the homeowners and the builders much happier when they can achieve those good results without all the control joints.
Do you see it mostly used with smooth troweled cement plaster or other top coats as well?
That's where it really started, because the smooth finish steel trowel is where we have so much difficulty getting the finish to have minimal cracks or acceptable amount of cracks. But recently, especially in institutional work, we're seeing them go with acrylic finishes with a 1.5 with the heavier or medium or heavier texture, and they're really reaping the benefits there as well. So I don't think it's no more limited to smooth finishes. It's as applicable to textures. Even we see some dash finishes going with the crack suppression.
For projects where expansion joints are to be minimized or even eliminated for the aesthetics of the project, do you recommend crack reduction systems there?
Absolutely. I recommend a crack suppression system anytime an owner wants to enhance the finish of the building, and in most opportunities where they're trying to minimize the control joints for aesthetic appearance, that crack suppression is going to come in perfectly and fit those needs.
Crack reduction systems were born out of the need for high-performing stucco assemblies to allow the use of stucco on buildings with low tolerance for natural cracking. Armed with this new technology, architects and designers are using stucco, and especially smooth trowel finishes, in new ways, fitting stucco into their plans. Fit stucco into your plans. For more information on the use of crack prevention systems and stucco finishes on your next project, contact the Stucco Manufacturers Association at www.stuccomfgassoc.com. That's www.stuccomfgassoc.com.